So there's a lot of chaos in the world. There's a lot of rumors about another attack on Israel. So the markets are not responding well to this news. There's a lot of fear right now. We're sitting at 41, fear for Bitcoin. We're still in this really funky sideways action, currently sitting at 62,000. So when you're looking at where to put your money, most people are thinking Bitcoin, most people are thinking Ethereum. Some people are still toying around with meme coins, but let's say you don't really feel comfortable going down that rabbit hole, but you're wanting to find a very sound way of making money. There is a way, I'm going to tell you about it. What's another way to make money that does not involve buying a random token that you may not feel safe about? And today I have Max of Archway, who to me is like the king of DeFi. He always plays around with different platforms. He told us about Airdrome. He told us about Aave and how they're generating a lot of fees. He's here to tell us about another way that we can generate passive income. Welcome to the show, Max. How you doing?
Doing great, Mikhail, and always great to be on the show and to talk about these kind of new protocols or unique protocols that I've been paying attention to in my spare time.
Likewise. Yeah, let's jump right into it. So this next project that we're going to be talking about, it's heavily backed by VCs, which in some ways people may think, oh, well, I don't know if I would want to do that because if I buy their token, it's going to be diluted. They have a vesting schedule that's going to rock your portfolio. But we have a way to generate income by utilizing this platform without actually buying the token. Is that correct?
That is fully correct.
How are we going to generate this income? Let's say I have my Bitcoin, I have Ethereum. I don't want to part ways with it. I just want to be able to generate additional income utilizing that, maybe a small portion of my portfolio.
I mean, yeah, there's always like other ways to generate yield that are less risky than holding a volatile token. I think a lot of people like to do, more risk off type yield generation. So stables are a great vehicle for that. And so like you mentioned Athena, and they're kind of unique in the sense that they wanted to create a stable coin that is not so reliant on like these centralized parties like USDT or USDC. So they came up with this kind of mechanism for creating their stable, which is called USD. And what they're doing is essentially allowing you to earn yield from their stable that they're offering. So in order to get this stable, you can do it in a few ways. So you can either swap into it by selling, assets or taking stables you already have and swapping them into USDE, or you can mint it. And the way they mint the actual USDE stable is by basically you offering up your liquid staked Ethereum. And so, you know, that is essentially what's going to be generating the yield for those stables as well. And that's what's kind of unique about these stables is that the yield is coming from somewhere. And I know a lot of times people will kind of, mention that like, well, where's the yield coming from? In the case of Athena, it's pretty clear. So when people mint and they basically collateralize or give up their liquid staked ETH, they actually use the staking yield being earned from those tokens to pay out the yield to the USDE holders. But another unique part about it is how they create a delta neutral position against that liquid staked ETH. And for those who don't know what that means, essentially, if you're holding the ETH, you have a long position. So what they'll do is they'll take an equal, in terms of value, short position against that ETH so that they basically minimize or eliminate the volatility risk. And while they're doing that, they're actually earning fees from the funding rates. And so what they do is then they redistribute those fees from the funding rates to further, supply rewards to the holders of USDE. So that's why when you look on Athena's site, like I think they're offering like 10% yield on the stable. And that's because they're combining the Ethereum staking yield plus all the fees they're earning from the actual delta neutral positions they're positioned in. To me, that's like actually a really cool and unique way of doing things. And it's a sustainable way of generating yield while you're holding a stable coin, which you're eliminating that volatility risk personally while still getting something out of it.
I see that on their website they have a 2.54 billion TVL. Their APY is 10.6%, and they have over 270,000 users. When I say these numbers, does that give you any level of confidence?
I mean, yeah, anytime you can garner a couple billion in TVL, I would say that's pretty impressive. And given their backers, like you mentioned, they do have very well-known and prominent backers, which to me, especially for a stable coin, that's really important. You want to make sure that the people who are investing and who are helping really contribute to that type of protocol are qualified and have the type of experience and expertise to make sure that it's done correctly. So to me, those are phenomenal numbers when you're looking at a protocol like this. But yeah, I mean, I expect that those numbers to continue to grow, especially if the markets don't, continue to go up or continue to go sideways. I think people will be looking more for these opportunities where they can avoid a lot of the volatility risk, but still earn a substantial amount of yield compared to just holding a token or getting, 3 to 5% on a government-backed security or something like that.
It's just amazing how far we've come, Max, because 3 years ago, we would never see Fidelity, Franklin Templeton, like we would not see these names on this website. We're familiar with Dragonfly, we're familiar with backings by Binance, but to see these large institutions to be backing, Ethena, I think that's quite impressive from the longevity perspective, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's because they see an opportunity where they understand that the crypto markets are becoming more and more mainstream and that this is probably going to be part of like the financial services they offer in the future. So they're trying to stake their claim to some protocols that they probably believe are the least risky in terms of for their customers or even just for their own businesses. If they have a ton of dry powder or if they're trying to get exposure to Ethereum and want to take a little bit of risk off, this is a great way to do it where they can mint these USDe tokens and then still earn from those and then use that yield for whatever business operations they please or even offer them to their customers as sustainable yield. That may not be something they're doing yet, and I imagine it'll be a while before those type of opportunities are available to like a standard retail user who utilizes something like Fidelity. But it does seem like these are the type of things you would do as a company if you're preparing for that ultimate ending where these are the type of financial services you will offer, at least as an alternative.
Now, how do you onboard onto this platform? Let's say, I do hold Bitcoin or Ethereum in my Coinbase account. I don't really have any other platform or wallet that I utilize. I'm primarily on Coinbase. So how do I get my Ethereum from Coinbase onto Ethena?
Yeah, so Athena, I'm fairly certain is just running on top of Ethereum. So as long as you have it on Ethereum network, you should be able to access the protocol. So it'd be as simple as just sending it to your Coinbase wallet or bridging it over to whatever supported chains they're on. And then once you're in there, the way to get USDE for a regular user is to swap into it. Right now, the way they have it set up is the minting side of the stablecoin is a whitelisted process. So it's primarily, I'd imagine, institution or market makers that are the ones who are actually minting the USDE. But if a regular user wanted to get it, they could bring over Ethereum or staked ETH, what have you, and swap it into the USDE. And then once you have the USDE, you can go put it in an LP and earn from there, or you can even mint their sUSDe, which is essentially their staked USDE version. And that again works like a liquid stake token where you get the token, but it's still yield bearing. It's still accruing those staking rewards or that yield that is generating to that token. So there's a few different ways that you can actually leverage the USDE once you have it. And I know they're supported on a few different applications, Phi being one of the primary ones I'm aware of, where you can actually go deposit it there. And if people aren't familiar with Pendle, it's basically a protocol that allows you to essentially split your tokens into the principal token and then a yield bearing token. From a tax perspective, that's actually probably really helpful to really separate those two things for reporting, but also it allows you to essentially trade your yield or your principal and really speculate on the future value of those tokens. So if you think yield's going to go down, you might want to sell it off, knowing that you can get more for it now than you would if you just held the yield bearing token because it is basically a tradable asset.
When you look at the APY, so right now it's 10.6. In banking, there's a lot of things that essentially control what the APY is, mainly what's happening on the interest rate side. But in DeFi, what is going to dictate what that percentage is?
It's really going to be Ethereum's yield. So whatever APR that Ethereum is producing from their staking rewards, that's primarily going to drive USDE's yield because it's mainly backed by staked Ethereum. And then, of course, depending on the funding rates and what's happening in the perpetual and trading markets, it can fluctuate as well. If there's a really large amount of fees being generated for the short side of the trade, then ultimately that's also going back to the USDE holders. So if funding rates are far in the negatives and they're paying out shorts, then it's probably going to increase the yield for the token.
Perfect. Sounds great, Max. So now we understand that there is another way for us to generate income where we don't have to buy other altcoins. Maybe we don't necessarily believe in them. We now have a way to generate more income by utilizing our own Ethereum. Thanks so much for sharing all of your insights. And if you like this video, please give it a subscription, give it a like, and check out some of the other videos that Max and I have done together. We talk about some of the other DeFi plays, the Japanese carry trade situation. There's a lot of stuff to unpack. Definitely check out those videos, and we'll catch you in the next one.